A steam train clatters down the tracks, speeding across the land. It rattles and bellows, making the final leg of its journey out to the farthest reaches. The landscape, once full of life and vibrance, has now turned to dusty reds and browns. It all seems to race by, giving the impression that even the scenery is running away from this place, wanting to be anywhere but here. The landscape continues to shift as you look out. What once was flat now has a mountain soaring up with white top peaks. The body of a dead god manifested as rock and stone. At least that is what it appears to be. Who knows if it's actually true? Time feels unending as the train continues on, but you have nothing but time. The train begins to slow and you realize that it has arrived. You have arrived. Time to make something of yourself. Time to do everything you can to find some prosperity. Welcome to Desperation. Hello, Wanderers, and welcome to our newest game, Desperation. This time around, we'll be playing in the Urban Shadows 2nd Edition rule set, but with a setting of my own design. Instead of a bustling metropolis, we are headed out west where vampire bandits roam and a dead god's body is being mined for resources. In the setting, it is about a decade from a terrible war that pitted the gods against each other. This has happened before in the past, but this time something changed. A god was killed, specifically the god Prosperity. Mortals are not sure how it happened, but when it happened, the war stopped abruptly, with the divine patrons pulling back their support and blessings from any that continued fighting. Many changes happened with the war ending overnight, with tensions and hostilities high. But one of the more dramatic ones was the appearance of Prosperity's body far from civilization near the town of Desperation. No one is actually sure what this means or what can be done with it, but many have been drawn to Desperation to see what they can make of it. Desperation is the end of the line. It is not somewhere many choose to go, and more of a place that you end up. There are many factions vying for control of the town and Prosperity's body, making survival here all the more difficult and precarious. It is a town on the edge in many ways. This is where our players enter, with a town that is thriving, but the old ways and new technologies are fighting against each other. No one is sure what anyone else wants, but they all want to be on top when the time comes. The sun is high in the sky as Saza and her companions step out into the street of Desperation. They are in the main drag of town with saloons and shops and all the buildings with their fake facades and wooden sidewalks and balconies stretching before them. Mandy, why don't you introduce Saza?
Yeah, so I am playing Saza and I'm using the Imp character sheet. Specifically as the Imp, I am playing more of like a demon character. So when she steps off the train, you see a tall woman in her late 30s. Her skin is pale, but like unnaturally pale. She's got really dark black hair, which stands out even more with her skin. And she has 2 red horns curling backwards. I don't know what else I want to say about her.
That's fine. It's whatever you want to share for our word picture.
All right. Well, despite the unnatural heat, she is not sweating at all.
Behind her are her 2 companions, Lilura and Lilurin.
Lilura and Lilurin. Just add an N.
Mandy is going to die very fast.
I think you mean are going to die pretty fast.
I already apologized and said I could change that, so...
No, I love it. It's funny, though.
I think we all need names like that for Cody's next game. All the PCs.
All the PCs.
They're NPCs for a reason.
Are behind her, they are also demons. They have long horns. They are basically identical. They have fine polished horns, deep red skin, and black hair. The only noticeable difference between the 2 of them is one of them has a shortcut with their hair, and the other has their hair long and braided. Saza, why did you bring us to somewhere so cold?
Saza slaps his shoulder with her fan. Lilurin, we've gone over this 1,000 times, but I'm happy to go over it one more. Exactly one more.
Was it while we were in the bedroom? Because if it wasn't, I wasn't paying attention.
It's taken us about a month to get out here, And the fact that you don't know why we are out here is deeply concerning. But don't you worry your pretty little head. You'll be in a bed soon. We are out here because we are leaving Kazaros' domain and finding a new footing.
She does kind of suck, yes. But couldn't we have picked somewhere warmer? To note, it is very hot.
Desperation is the smallest opportunity that we have. And hopefully it will stay small. Otherwise, we will be moving again.
All right, as long as you find me a bed, I'll stick with you.
Give me 4 hours.
So the two of them wander off and start making eyes at any passerby they can. Saza is looking for a place to do business. And for that, she finds her way to what is the town hall, like town offices, vaguely governmental building in this city. It functions as both the sheriff's office, the jail, where you do paperwork, and where town meetings are held. It is a moderate-sized building for needing to house people. It has a more added-on feel to it, like that it used to be smaller, and then the town exploded in size, and for meetings they needed more space, so there is clear delineations where this was an original building, it looks more weathered, it looks a little bit older, the paint's more chipped, and then they have nicer wood next to it where it has not been here quite as long. As you enter, you see a short woman behind a desk who appears to be in her late 20s, early 30s. She has short wavy hair, and is put up to keep it out of her way, even though it is pretty like a short bob. She has a long set of scars that start at the corner of her left eye and drag along the side of her skull. I guess head. Skull seems worse.
There's no bone peeking out.
There's no bone peeking out, but it is like very dramatic scars. It's not like... they're not subtle in any way, is what I'm saying.
Like her hair hasn't grown back where the scarring is.
Correct. And it is noticeable, though. It does not look styled that way. It is not drawing attention to it for being styled. It is just that way.
Yeah.
She's wearing a navy riding skirt and a white blouse that looks to be faded from all the work in the desert heat. She is currently looking down, scribbling notes on a pad.
Saza walks up to the counter and wraps her long fingers on the top to get her attention. Excuse me, human ma'am.
She slowly looks at you and then looks you up and down. Hello, may I help you?
Yes, I'm inquiring about any, locations that may be available for sale.
Well, have you talked with the mining guild? They're always looking to sell land.
I'm not interested in land, I'm interested in buildings.
I could see if anything has foreclosed for you. She looks down at her book. I can pencil you in for Thursday the week after next.
Not good enough. I need something today.
You do understand that's not how selling buildings works, right? We have procedures and papers, and I have a stack, and there's a moderate-sized stack of other documents that I am working through.
I am more than happy to sign whatever paperwork you need me to. I have funds of some sorts, enough that should be able to buy a building. I don't understand what the problem is.
Make me a persuade an NPC check.
Okay, what does that roll with?
Heart.
Caitlin said heart.
Okay.
Also, I don't know if your imp move matters. I don't know if you have an imp persuade move.
I might. Let me scroll real quick.
Sorry, everybody. We're starting a new system, and that means everything's clunky for 5 episodes.
That's part of the fun of it.
I don't know if your moves apply.
I don't think they do. Oh, speaking of which, we can do this off. I still need to I need to do my business as usual roll at some point, which is at the start of every arc for us, I assume. I roll and our operations get like a scheme of some kind.
Cool. I will I will put that in narrative for this first one, so it won't be off mic.
I kind of figured you can use that.
Yeah. And if there is something like that in everyone's playbooks, just remind me that these are things I need to do, because sometimes I will forget with getting in my own world of creating the rest of the narrative.
Okay. I got a 7. Yes, I got a 7.
All right. On a 7 to 9, they counter your offer or demand payment. A debt, a favor, resources before agreeing to follow through. So, you're saying you want me to forego all procedure and protocol and have you skip to the front of the line?
I don't know what you're talking about. There's no line here. But yes, and what I will say, I think this town could use a little extra attention to it. And that's exactly what I'm trying to bring to you all. So, if I'm able to have location, I'm more than happy to rub elbows for a little bit, get you something on the side.
All right. Okay. It doesn't seem like you're going to leave me alone until I find you somewhere to work. So, I'm going to say you owe me a favor later on if you leave right now and I get you that place.
I'm more than happy to return a favor.
Come back in 4 hours and I will have a place for you. Does that...
Done.
Oh, everyone thinks they're important.
Saza fans out her fan, I don't know what you would say with that, and grandly sweeps out the door to go find her employees.
So is this a debt?
Yes, so
Okay.
Mandy, you now owe 1 debt to Teresa, who you did not get her name. This is Teresa Mayers, which when you come back...
She had a little thing, on the desk that...
She did. No, that was not an insult to you. I was just saying, you didn't miss it. I didn't say it. Okay, so I'm gonna say, I want each of you to give me one thing about the place Mandy picks. Because it's going to be the hub, kind of, for, it is the honor.
Yeah.
Or Smoky Banks. Or, the underground catacombs of this game. Things that I will establish beforehand. It is very close to the train station. It is on the outskirts of town. Not that town is huge, but there is enough people to fade into the background of, and this is right... It's not the next building over, but it's close enough to the train tracks that it's the first saloon, pleasure establishment, gambling house that you're going to run across.
It's the first B&B.
Yeah. It is... Or it was a foreclosed building. It is not... Or foreclosed as in no one was paying on it. It is not in terrible shape, but it's not the prettiest building either.
I have one I'm so excited for, so can I hit it? Can I give it to you?
Go for it.
I'm just gonna give you this as just a little nugget, all right? Just a little taste. Secret passages.
Yeah.
Everywhere. In, out, to every room. There is not a single mirror in this place that isn't two-way glass. There is not a single closet that doesn't lead to the basement. All the walls are hollow. I mean, it is all secret passageways.
Okay, I'm going to veto that slightly and say it's not every single one. Mirrors, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, mirror, everyone is two-way.
Yeah.
I don't think every room can have a secret passage, but you can certainly,
You don't know.
Can I say it gives the feeling that it might?
Yes.
You never know. In a pinch, if we're trying to get out of here and we're stuck in a room, we're knocking on the walls.
We're pulling the books from the bookcase.
Yeah, there's one that definitely opens something somewhere.
I like the idea that there's a bookshelf and every book does a different secret passage.
What was this before
Oh,
this?
It was the mansion house of an eccentric old pervert, for sure. It's not good that this fits really well being a brothel. You know what I mean? It implies some things. Where you walk in, you're like, this has brothel vibes. You're like, this was an old guy's house. You're like, oh no.
Mandy and the demon's like, we have to clean everything now.
Black light.
I was going to say that it's painted really garishly.
Yeah.
The facade is a lot more colorful than anybody else's. And that there was some sort of enchantment on it that is somewhat worn off. And so like certain patches like flicker in and out I feel like there was like a daytime scheme and a nighttime scheme, and that enchantment is spotty now.
It's just always dusk, which works, but it's also not what it's supposed to be.
It's something that with the garishly, I think it's something that like stands out.
Yes, it's very identifiable. You walk off the train, you notice this building.
Yeah, it's like all maroons and like violets and yeah.
Gold trim, yeah.
It's like something off the Vegas Strip.
Emphasis on the strip.
See, mine was not going to be as interesting because I was just going to talk architecture and just say it's definitely 2 stories because it was some old guy's mansion. It's got like the big double doors in the front, and the entryway is easy enough to convert. It's easy enough to convert, like not just like the rooms, but like it is a very easy conversion of like, this is now the open space where cards and drinks can happen.
All right. What's the name of your brothel, Mandy?
The Quiver Sand Tavern.
So, Saza sets up her business and begins renovating, cleaning, getting it open for business. And a month passes. Very far out east, about 7 days, by train, 2 people are in a lonely train car as you hear the clacking and thumping of it going from one of the largest cities out east, slowly going west. Cody, describe your character for us.
So currently, Kingsdale Aloysius Huckabee is asleep on the train. He has a black gambler's hat pulled down over his face, and like just peeking under the brim, you can see like a large curled mustache of kind of a sandy blonde, and you can see his hair is the same color under the hat. There's a like kind of at this point burnt out like narrow cigar just kind of hanging out of his lip. He's wearing very fine but very faded clothes. He's wearing a jacket and like a pinstriped vest and a yellow shirt underneath. But all of this has been faded and kind of looks like sweaty at this point now. Is like a kerchief tied, all of it's old, sweat stained. And he's just laying there with his feet outstretched, just snoring. No pretense at defending the suitcase above his head or the bag next to him. Just there, asleep.
How far has he traveled from to get to a hub out east?
Like, do you mean how long has he been on this train?
Yes.
I don't think Kingsdale is in a state to know. There's a smell coming off of him. Alcohol's one of them. He knows where this train ends, and he knows that's where he's going. And he was not in a good place when he stumbled onto it.
As this train is heading out to the middle of nowhere, it is at the point in the journey where regular passengers are vacated, and the only other passenger is a young woman. Caitlin, do you want to describe M for us?
Yeah, so M is a short white woman in her late 20s. She's got her reddish brown hair kind of pulled back in a low bun underneath like a newsboy cap. And she's wearing like a button down with suspenders, like connected to like big wide gaucho pants that like you could ride a horse in, but they look like a skirt. And she has gotten onto the train not too long ago and is just kind of walking through the cars, looking to see who else is here. So when she runs across Kingsdale, she sees a presumably rich man who is currently unconscious. So she's going to go over and rifle through some belongings. In which case I'm going to roll mislead, distract, or trick. I guess the misleading, distracting, or tricking being she's trying not to wake him up.
I feel like stealing someone counts as a trick, or robbing someone counts as a trick, you know? Like,
yeah.
You're tricking them by taking all their stuff.
So I roll with mind. That's a 9.
All right. Pick 2. Create an opportunity, expose a weakness or flaw, confuse them for some time, or you avoid further entanglement.
I want to expose a weakness or flaw.
All right.
And create an opportunity. In this case, like if somebody sees her, she wants them to think that they are traveling together. She does not want to be remembered as like lone woman traveling on a train.
All right.
Can I make a suggestion for the expose a weakness, or do you want to narrate something? Sorry.
Oh, please go ahead.
What is your suggestion? I mean, this is your character, you know.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, if you open the bag or the suitcase, both are fully empty.
Perfect. So she opens the bag and it's empty. And she's like, okay.
Okay, I'm going to narrate some of what you see.
Okay.
Kaylin just starts playing a solo RPG. So you, wanting to not be suspicious, you're like, I'll sit next to this guy. I'll make it look like I'm like with him and like untying his bag. Instead of like reaching over him and untying it, you're like, I'll sit next to him. And you start to untie his bag and you find that it is completely empty. And you're like, okay, that's weird. Weird to even have an empty bag. But you're like, his suitcase is probably full. That's gotta be it, right? So you pop that sucker open, and there's nothing in there. And you're like, did I pick the poorest man in the world to rob?
Okay, so she'll can she like reach into his like vest pocket to see if there's a wallet?
Sure.
Okay.
So as you do that, you accidentally brush his arm. And for a second, you have a very familiar feeling of vertigo as your world flips to black and white. And you are situated in a rocky expanse, standing next to this man. In front of you lies a dead body with a demon woman leaning over it. Make me your... sorry, I'm looking up the actual name. I appreciate you all picking playbooks right in a row. It's very easy to scroll to your booths.
This might be a good time to mention I'm playing the Oracle playbook, in which I get visions.
Make me a psychometry roll, I think.
Psychometry is for objects, so...
But you're not getting information about Kingsdale from this vision, is what I'm saying. So I think psychometry is...
Cool. Yep.
The questions better fit there.
Yep. That is an 11.
All right.
So I get to ask 3 questions.
You get to ask 3 questions.
And what is the object I'm getting?
You're getting this scene, I would say.
Okay.
Like, I'm treating this scene as an object.
Okay. What strong emotions have most recently been near?
As you reach out to this, this is a little bit different from what you have usually felt recently. Mm-hmm. Usually your visions are very controlled and very specific, and you pick to have them happen. They don't happen randomly by accident like this when you brush up against somebody. So sussing out your what feelings are here is difficult. For you, you feel stress and pressure coming from yourself, as well as confusion. Reaching out, how would Kingsdale feel looking at a dead body, Cody?
Oh, does Kingsdale experience this? Like, is this how he wakes up?
He's not experiencing this, but this is a vision of the future where Kingsdale is in it. So, does that make sense?
What's the right way to put this?
So, this is you from the future, but it's not like...
He feels like a janitor would feel if he watched a kid throw up in the lunchroom.
What?
Yeah, imagine you just, if your job is to clean up messes, and then someone just made a mess, and you're just like...
It's another bad day at the job, yeah. Resigned.
Yeah, that's a good one. Resigned.
Saza, how would you feel looking at a murdered corpse?
Probably disgusted. I don't think demons, they don't specifically see a lot of dead bodies, I wouldn't think. Especially in her line of work.
Probably not for her, but, some might, there's demons of war somewhere.
Yeah, but for her, yeah, she doesn't see that stuff, so.
Kaylin.
Yeah, so where does this object belong? I'm gonna kind of apply that to the body.
I'm not.
Okay.
You are you want to pinpoint what is happening to you, where you are, and without a doubt, in your heart of hearts, this is desperation.
Okay. This is
or
where
on
I'm
the
going.
outskirts of
Yeah,
it.
so I'm going to make it there, but yeah.
You're making it exactly where you want to go, with the gentleman sitting next to you, who is maybe blackout drunk.
What bans, wards, or limits are attached to this object?
As you try to reach out and feel what magic is around this body and in this scene, you start pushing and start feeling something a little bit unfamiliar, a little bit different from magics you're used to, and then you snap back out as you are back on a train with your hand in the pocket of Kingsdale, and everything is in vibrant color once again.
Gods and devils, I didn't try to do that. What's in the wallet?
You guessed it. Absolutely nothing. With the exception of a cartoon butterfly or moth coming out. It leaves a little spiral behind it as it leaves.
Okay. She's going to kind of roll her eyes and put the wallet back in as gently as possible.
Kingsdale, you can wake up whenever you want, man.
Oh, okay. I was waiting for you to tell me when I woke up.
Sorry. Well, at any point you can wake up.
Yeah, so I think, like, as you're, like, slipping the wallet back in his pocket, like, Kingsdale kind of, like, sniffs, and, like, his eyes open, and he just, like, sees you with your hand in his pocket, and he just goes...
Like vest pocket, right?
Yeah. And he just goes, "Pardon me for one moment. I apologize for the manner of my waking. It has been a long and lengthy, a trying, and dare I say, a tumultuous journey for me, and I am in need of refreshment." And he, like, reaches into his vest next to your hand and goes, "Pardon me," shoves your hand aside, pulls out a flask, opens it, takes a drink, screws it back on, reaches his hand back in the vest, shakes yours. "My name is Kingsdale Aloysius Huckabee. I am a soldier of fortune, an adventurer of these fine lands, and currently on my way to find gainful and hopefully profitable and maybe even successful employment in the town of..." Where's this train heading, my dear?
Desperation.
Desperation. And it is a pleasure to meet you. Now, before I discharge the firearm that I have pointed at your stomach, why is your hand in my vest?
I'm just returning your wallet. You didn't seem in a state to retrieve it.
How could you have possibly known it was mine?
She, like, looks up and down the train, like, which has nobody else in this car right now, and is like, I don't know. I must have a hunch.
Your hunch was that you found a wallet that was in my pocket.
Well, now it is.
On the floor, picked it up, carried it nobly up and down a train, seeking for a breast pocket where it might find its home, where it might find its rest. Found me indisposed, unconscious, and otherwise incapable of defending me and all of my absent worldly possessions, and chose this to be the place where you would return it to its birth.
You got it.
Well, I applaud your effort, and am pleased to meet you. Your name is...
How do you do? Call me M.
M, just the one. Do you have a family name? M, the letter?
Unlike you, I don't just go giving out my true name to everyone I meet. Strangers, acquaintances.
How will anyone get to know you if you never give out the name given to you to represent your very soul?
How do you go around giving it out to anybody who could use it against you?
Now, your concern for me warms my heart. I have been long bereft of companions that wish my best interest so much as you do, but...
So you're a flannel-mouthed con man.
What? No, I am a soldier of fortune who has gotten gainful employment at the town, again, the town at the end of this train.
Desperation.
I have gotten gainful employment in Desperation, though the name reeks of irony given the sentence it has found itself in. So no, I am not a con man. I am a pursuer of violence and gambling.
I've never met a soldier who looks the way you do and talks the way you do.
I am not from these parts, and I am a rare specimen, it must be said.
I can see that.
Now, I would feel more comfortable in this conversation if you put yourself on the other side of the seat, where we might look upon each other, and I might stow my firearm.
Sure. She, scoots it around. I assume it's, 2 pairs of seats facing each other.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Walks to a different train car. Can you hear me now? Good!
Kingsdale holsters his gun. I find myself on a train seeking employment from a woman who I understand is, what is the way to put unrudely, due to disposition and description unfit to employ those of high moral standing. And I also find myself on the way to a town whose name, eventually I will remember if you say it one more time.
Desperation?
Every time I hear its name, I will remember it coming from your lovely face. However, I am on my way to this town of ill repute, lacking friends and much knowledge, and I wonder...
Can't imagine why.
Now, in my line of work, typically, my employment is to the less than savory, or the no longer alive. Anyways, I am curious as to your reason for being on a train, returning wallets, and learning names.
Business dried up, and I thought it was time for a fresh start.
I assume you are in the law enforcement or philanthropic line of work, perhaps a minister of some sort, given your desire to return those that are lost, like a shepherd might return a lost babe to the fold.
You can assume that?
You are a tricky person to converse with, I must say. Typically, I find myself to be the one accused of obfuscating language. I am told I do so in my flourishments on the word, but you are difficult to parse.
Well, I apologize. What is bringing you to Desperation?
I do not know how much play I have now. This will be the 3rd time. I have found employment from a woman who by disposition or personality has had trouble finding the employ or gaining the employment of men of moral standing. I am a soldier of fortune and a gambler.
See, the more you say it, in the exact same words, it makes it feel like it's practiced. That's what you do if you were, a con man trying to sell something.
I do not practice speaking clearly and descriptively. When I wish to impart an idea onto someone, I do not simply say it in the shortest possible words. I allow my words to paint a river of ink on a canvas that is the thought that I wish to give unto them.
I see. That's one way of describing things.
Now, why are you on your way there? Are you perhaps a salesperson here to sell knickknacks and bric-a-bracs or curiosities or novelties, or maybe even perhaps the ever-practical widgets?
Well, I'm good with numbers. That's something I'm hoping to be hired to do. Maybe accounting. Are you on this train, yet unemployed, and headed towards your destination with no means to support yourself? I'm hoping to find means quite quickly.
You have more confidence in your immediate desirability as a member of society, I think, than I do at times.
Was that an insult?
No, I am a soldier of fortune, a seeker of violence and gambling, and that at times does not ingratiate myself to a more refined echelon of our fine society.
You said you're employed by someone.
Correct.
Do you know anything else about them?
Her name is Saza. I understand she runs an institution that purveys all manner of pleasures to anyone who might have the coin available to barter for their services, and also has a basement with a room that I may rent.
Zach, is Saza, would I associate that as a demon name? Do you know what she looks like by any chance?
Don't even let me answer.
You didn't seem like you had an answer.
I was thinking.
I'm sorry.
Make me a mind roll.
Okay, just a straight mind.
Yeah.
4.
Nope, you have no idea.
Okay.
It is not a Fey name, so you do not care.
Cool.
And you know it's not a Fey name because there's not 13 of them.
Right. Do you happen to know what she looks like?
There was a sketch in the advertisement of her establishment, and someone horribly, ruthlessly, and cruelly defaced the image of what I can only understand to be a lovely woman with demonic horns upon her rather lovely head, and I must then with this assume that it is because of her disposition that she is incapable of employing men of a moral standard that would maybe be in the same profession as me, but as yet more desirable than I have been up to this point. And given my state of empty bag and wallet, I was gracious enough to respond in the affirmative.
Gods and devils. Okay.
And he shows a picture of Saza that just does have her horns on it.
Yes. No, Emma's connecting this in her mind to the third person that she saw at her vision.
You seem like you have just seen a ghost.
Something like that.
Are you able to communicate with those of the spirit realm? Because if you are, I wish to employ your services to deliver a message unto my brother. Now, I can pay at a later date when my profession as soldier of fortune has yielded the latter part of the title.
Sure. What's your brother's name? And what do you want to tell him?
His name is Lionel, and I wish to tell him. Now, this becomes tricky. It is rather a personal message. Is it perhaps possible for me to tell him without telling you?
No.
Tell him that Mother did not approve of the reckless way in which he left the family. He will understand what it means.
All right. So Em will get out her phoenix feather, and so when she breaks it, it goes up in flames that turn into smoke. And she kind of makes a show of sort of guiding that smoke into a pattern and whispering, and lets that kind of hang in the air. And then she's going to rummage around and give him a receipt. Be like, for when your soldier of fortuning pays off.
Kingsdale looks at the receipt, folds it up, puts it in his wallet, puts it back into his pocket, and goes, "It is now yet somehow lighter than it was before."
Do you need me to retrieve it for you?
Retrieve what? The wallet. Ah, funny. When it is full, you may do so at your leisure.
I'll hold you to it.
All right, and we will leave Kingsdale and M on their 7 more days.
Dear Lord.
Can there just be a montage of Kingsdale talking and M just staring out the window? Let me tell you about the way grain was priced 15 years ago. It was in the summer when the sun was at its hottest. Rain had yet never come.
Oh my gosh.
I think, and if this is me playing your character too much for either of you, let me know. But what happens is, after a little bit, M leaves, and then Kingsdale waits like 5 minutes, and he's like, I got nothing better to do, and then walks down the train to find her, and just keeps sitting next to her, and then like every 15 minutes she'll leave, and he'll wait 5 minutes. Okay, next one.
Except when he's napping, which is a lot.
Well, that takes care of not being seen alone.
Hey, this is why you don't rob the man that's going to the same town as you.
How was I supposed to know?
He was only a PC, Caitlin. That would be a twist if Kingsdale gets off 3 stops beforehand.
JK, new character.
I think that would have been something she would have done if she did not have a vision of being in desperation with him. She would have done the thing where you get off and you get back on, But it seems like a moot point at this point.
I think at one point she tries it to see if it works.
And he's just sitting in the next car down.
Right, she goes into it, she waits, she doesn't see him move, so then she sneaks back around to a different car and he's sitting there hey! You guys head further and further west, hitting multiple cities, and then towns, and then villages, and then outposts, before you have the last largest collection of people, and a long half-day stretch, which is the last leg to Desperation, being, a quarter to a half-day's journey away from the last major hub. As soon as you arrive, M ducks off of that train and is in the wind. Kingsdale, you step foot onto a nice-looking, well-kept train platform. This is the end of the line. It has a larger station than you'd expect, being the end of the line. Usually that has the idea of no one comes here, which is still true, but with the Prosperity Plateau Mining Corporation bringing in so much people and resources, they have built up the train station to have a nicer looking area. There's a place where they can cover the train for night, refuel, as well as a place for the engineers to stay while they are recuperating before they make the long trek back out east. As you and a few other passengers, your train was not fully empty the whole time that you were traveling out here, make your way off the train. You see most people know that they are coming or where they're going. When you see a man standing there, he looks middle-aged, and that is starting to catch up with him. He's got a little bit of crow's feet around his eyes. He's starting to look a little bit less spring chicken to him.
Are you just describing me right now, Zach? I have crow's feet and a salt and pepper beard at this point.
Fun fact, I had a salt and pepper beard as soon as I grew mine out, so I was 25 at the time. He has thinning black hair with the part that's not thinning having a good amount of gray mixed in. He is scrawny and quite tall, but he makes up for that weirdness in height by being impeccably dressed. He is wearing a 3-piece suit. He has a nice pocket watch in one pocket. He has it in his hand as he checks the time and sees the train's exactly on time and slips it back in. My good sir, welcome to the town of New Hope. We are happy that you are here. Might I make your acquaintance? My name is Aaron Lancaster. I am assistant to the mayor, and I am happy to see new arrivals in town.
Is he saying that to Kingsdale?
Yes.
Kingsdale looks behind him, takes out his flask, looks at it, looks back up at him, shrugs, puts it back in his vest, and comes up and shakes his hand. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance. My name is Kingsdale Aloysius Huckabee. I am a soldier of fortune, a seeker of violence and gambling here at the employ of Saza, a woman who I believe runs a establishment that peddles all manner of pleasure to those that might have the coin, and I would love if you could direct me to her location, as it is my duty, sworn and paid for, eventually, to report there to provide any service that I may.
Well, Kingsdale, if I may shorten your name a little bit.
Kingsdale Aloysius Huckabee is the full name, but you may go with Kingsdale or Mr. Huckabee, or Kingsdale Aloysius Huckabee?
I will stick with Kingsdale unless you prefer Mr. Huckabee. But I will graciously show you to the Quiver Sand Tavern. It is a beautiful building that you will not be able to miss, but I will happily take you there. Just in case you want to focus on other sights than the radiant colors that this house of entertainment and fun is happy to give. Outside of coming here to work for Ms. Saza, is there anything else you are looking to do in town?
I feel that oftentimes my language goes unheard. I am a seeker of violence and gambling. Now, generally, the former is considered to only be necessary in extreme circumstances, which I believe is the reason that I haven't been employed by Saza. The latter, however, I am always interested in, and dare I say, am quite profitable at. So, the first is for me to report for duty as it was and ensure that the establishment remains safe. The second can be done at your leisure.
The second, I don't think I need to help you out with at all. Miss Saza has a fine establishment that has many cards. I think there is a full deck there. Being honest with you, Mr. Huckabee, I have never had the pleasure of sampling Ms. Saza's wares.
As soon as he says that, Kingsdale just puts his hand on his shoulder and goes, "Someday your life will earn the words that you say so colorfully," and he just walks away.
He keeps up with you. See, now Kingsdale gets to experience it. You walk quite fast, Mr. Huckabee, but don't worry.
As I said to you, I am needed at an establishment of people that gamble and possibly do violence, the two things which I seek.
Well, if you're seeking violence, may I offer you a little tip free of charge? There is a hunter's guild in town who are always looking for able-bodied men to help them with their ongoing...
As soon as he says that, Kingsdale grabs him and, drags him into an alley.
Mr. Huckabee, I think this is not required.
He, cocks his revolver and puts it under his chin. My name is not Kingsdale Aloysius Huckabee, and if you ever repeat that name, I will find where you sleep, and I will ensure that you never wake again. My name is Franklin. Last name, also Franklin. My name is Franklin, and you have never heard of anyone bearing my description before, and you will not talk to anyone in the Hunters Guild about this interaction, or when I say you will not wake, let me be clear, I will make it to where your waking life is that of the heavens and the spirit world. I will make your bed a coffin. I will ensure that your lungs are now useless and your brain quickly becomes the diet of maggots.
Make me a persuade an NPC roll.
Now, this is a problem where I'm not very good at this, actually. I'm, in fact, terrible at it.
What's your stat in heart?
I think it's a -1 for him.
Oh, but it doesn't matter because I rolled a 9.
Do you do something different with threatening? Or no?
Huh? Yes, I do. If I pick, that move that existed that I was like, oh, I could pick this move, but I don't, and then it was actually removed from my playbook in the latest version. That's the one that would let me roll with blood instead of with heart.
Bummer.
I think it's because you have another one out that's already changing your persuasion, so I think it was 2 moves that did essentially the same thing.
It's fine. I'm not mad. I didn't pick it either way, so it doesn't matter. But, yeah.
What did you roll?
I rolled an 8.
Okay. They offer you a counteroffer, demand, or payment. Now, Mr. Franklin, we don't need to get hasty here. I don't have to let your story spill out or let anyone know that anyone by the name of Huckabee might be in town. But also, I think you should really consider that in the coming election, Mayor Jonas Olson can keep secrets, and so can his assistant mayor. And I think
Is this a debt that I have to these two people? Is that what this is going to take the shape of?
I'm gonna call it a debt just for.
Yeah.
I'm giving it more of a narrative spin than just saying a debt. It's only to.
No. I understand that. I just want to know if I should mark it. But yes, I agree with that.
It is only to him. It is only to Aaron Lancaster.
So when he says that, Kingsdale uncocks his gun, holsters it, and goes, "Now, what was your name again? Because I will not lie to you, I did not adhere it to my memory."
My name is Aaron Lancaster, and I am assistant.
Hold on one moment here, and he gets out a scrap of paper and a pen and wets it on his tongue and is like, "Say that name for me one more time."
It is Aaron Lancaster.
What else is on this piece of paper? Is it just the letter M?
Also, Desperation in M's handwriting.
She got tired of answering.
Also, I didn't want to mess up the moment at the time where Cody said, "I will remember that name coming out of your pretty face," is hilarious with the name being Desperation.
Well, that was why when he was like, "Yes, I'm gainfully employed in desperation," he's like, an ironic phrase. So yeah, he writes down Aaron Lancaster and goes, "A name I will never forget," and just stares at him. "Anyway, good evening," and walks out of the alley.
And as he, right as he turns the corner, "I'll see you later, Mr. Franklin." This tavern sticks out like a sore thumb, thanks to y'all.
What can I say except
It is the equivalent of, the Hollywood strip where they have the giant lights going back and forth, shining into the sky. It's that equivalent, except you guys don't really have electricity. So, you got little freaks out there lighting a bonfire, moving mirrors.
No, that's what the enchanted paint is for. That's flickering. It gives the effect of lights without actually having lights.
Saza.
Yeah.
You are at your nice establishment. You guys have put a lot of work and elbow grease and time into it, with Laura and Lilurin complaining the absolute entire time. You've probably been open for about 2-ish weeks now, with maybe a little bit sooner if you were taking on more work while they just started up the business part of it.
Yeah, I would say we probably got the main room cleaned and set up for tables and a bar. And then we probably have by this point, maybe 3 rooms these can be used. Plus just a not very well put together, but usable living area.
Is that is for you guys and not for customers, correct?
Correct. That's what I mean, is there's 3 rooms for customers that can be that are usable. Maybe not the best, but usable. Mm-hmm. And then I would say there's a back area that, again, usable, not pretty or customized or any of that stuff, but it works.
So as you are serving a drink to a patron, laying on the bar next to where you're pouring is Lulura. Saza, no one has come in today. There's a person sitting right next to her head.
What do you call this guy right here, this gentleman right here?
He only wanted to sleep with Lilurin, so he doesn't count.
Well, then why don't you go set up your sleeping area for tonight? Whatever, however you want. You could, I don't know, you could go clean out another room.
She turns her head to you. Saza, that is the opposite of what I want. I want someone to sleep with, not to do work. Why would I work when you could be getting people for me to play with?
Saza slowly turns her head to her and gives her a grin where you can see I don't think demons have vampire pointy teeth, but it's you can tell there's some venom in it.
They're sharp.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to come here and complain to me, then you can do work.
If I'm good, will you come join me? Oh, you're so boring now.
When there's no one in here.
Still stands, you're boring now. You used to be way more fun in the city. And she goes back to, lying, face up. At this moment, Kingsdale, Aloysius Huckabee, also known as Mr. Franklin, last name Franklin, walks in the door. In an amount of time that is beyond human perception, Lilura is standing next to Kingsdale, 20 feet away from the bar she was just laying on. Hello, handsome. Might I interest you in whatever your heart desires?
What my heart desires, sorry, first let me allow myself to introduce me to you. I apologize, it has been a long...
You don't need to do that, honey.
I do, I believe. My name is... Oh...
That's what you'll be saying later, yes.
My name is Franklin. My parents had an odd sense of humor to name me such an odd moniker. It's true. However, in this case, it has been with me my entire life and served me well. I am here not to speak to you, I believe, but to maybe your employer, as I believe we are to be co-worker and co-worker, not provider and patron.
When you're in this line of work, business can be pleasure.
I agree with you. And give me just a few moments to talk with our mutual employer, and then there are games we can play.
I hope you like difficult ones.
Lilura, leave the man alone if he doesn't want anything.
Kingsdale looks up.
He said he's gonna come back after he talks to you. And when he finds out you're boring now, he's gonna come running back.
Kingsdale looks up, looks at your face, looks at your horns, takes the flask back out of his vest pocket, looks at it, puts it back in, and walks up to you. Madam, my name is Franklin. Might we find a room where we might discuss a matter of employment in private?
Saza, eyes you up and down. I'm not exactly taking on more employees.
Let me put it this way.
'Cause she's boring now.
Let me put it to you this way. I am one who is royal and a fan of nature. My name inspires images of delicious dessert.
Franklin.
Yes. And I do not know how to speak more clearly than I am. Might we find a private room to speak in for but a moment?
You can speak about my butt for more than a moment if you want.
This butt was spelled with one T, not two.
It's called wordplay, and it's the boringest of plays that we're gonna do.
Lilura, take over the bar, Mr. Franklin.
Correct.
And Saza directs him to one of the few rooms that guess I should eventually have an office, but
as soon as the door shuts, Kingsdale goes, I wish first to apologize and then to introduce myself. The name Franklin was a cunning ruse, a disguise of words meant to hide me from the fact that there's a hunters guild in this very town, which I did not know until I arrived at the platform and met a very tedious man whose name was Aaron. And then I got bored and did not write down his surname. But given that, for reasons that I do not feel the need to share and that I do not feel you should be able to ask, I do not wish to use my true name, which is Kingsdale Aloysius Huckabee. Very nice to meet you. I am the person who you hired.
We've had correspondence.
Yes. To offer protection for this establishment and also to rent your basement and perhaps to run some games of chance.
Ah. Well, glad to see there's a train that's come in, finally. Welcome to Depression.
Oh, dear me, no. Now, I have the lovely image of the word desperation coming out of a woman's mouth as to describe the name of this town, and I fear I may have given offense with how many times I had to ask. Is it Depression, the town?
No. But it certainly feels that way sometimes.
I see you were playing fun with your words, I understand.
Yes, well, would you like to see the room you'll be renting? We haven't touched it, so there's potential there.
So long as it has a door that locks, I have all that I need.
We might need to add a lock.
Do you have a stable, by the way?
If there's not one, there can be.
I brought with me a steed who I find quite dear. Her name is the good Lady Begonia, and I will need housing for her as well. Now, if it cannot be found here, I might seek a stable elsewhere, but for the time being, we need not worry.
We're still renovating the place. I don't know if you can tell.
I can. I will have my effects delivered to the basement, but I would like to impress upon you that room, should I rent it, will be mine and not welcome to be entered by patrons or employees alike.
That's why we haven't touched it. We have no need for it yet.
Then we are in agreement onto the terms of the employ.
No, I don't expect to send customers down there.
Me either. Why would I ever have customers down there?
This way, and Saza, leads him out to wherever the lead to the basement is.
Secret passages!
As soon as they get in the basement, if you're, holding up a lantern and stuff, Kingsdale just goes, "Now, is this basement fully underground, or is there any part of it that is exposed?"
As far as I know, completely underground.
How thick are the floors?
I haven't tested them.
Are they made of a sturdy wood such as oak, maple, or walnut, or are they made of a softer wood like pine?
Wood is wood as far as I've been concerned.
I see. Would you object to some minor modifications to any of the structures in this basement?
If it doesn't disrupt my business.
It most certainly will not. I will limit my working hours to those times which you are closed.
Again, as long as it doesn't disrupt my business or interfere with my patrons.
It most certainly will not. Now, I feel that I am ready to begin working. Would you mind if I made good on my promise to play with the lovely co-worker that I have already met?
Certainly. She's not doing anything at the moment.
He goes upstairs, and which Lauren is it?
It's Lilurna.
He goes upstairs to Lilurna. I believe you mentioned play. Lilurin.
Sorry, Lilurin.
He goes upstairs to Lilurin.
Lilura. It's the A. It's not the N one. It's the A one.
He goes upstairs to Lilura. I believe you mentioned playing.
Why, yes. Are you ready, handsome?
Wonderful. Come with me. He grabs her hand and leads her off to a table, sits down and starts shuffling cards and dealing to her. We're playing 5-card stud, of course.
As you start doing 5-card stud and practicing dealing, you lose so many times.
That is fine. I have no money.
And I just get to look at your handsome face.
It is true. The mustache is well coiffed, despite the fact that I have been on a train for ages.
And as Kingsdale deals another hand of cards is where we will leave off on this first episode. Hey Wanderers, thanks for listening to our campaign Desperation. As always, you can follow us on our socials, and if you like what you hear, leave us a review on your podcast app of choice, and tell a friend about the show. We hope you've enjoyed your time in Desperation. Just because it's the end of the line, doesn't mean you don't have options.